G'day guys, welcome to a relatively quiet and peaceful Sunday afternoon in Queenwood, Hamilton. We're about to change that. I have already done it, just a spoiler. So I've jury-rigged the fuel pumps in a safe, cautious manner to make those work without our bulkhead fitting. I absolutely couldn't drive it or go anywhere, but just minimal fuel in it, a couple of litres. Filled the engine up with oil. I cranked that over this morning, got oil pressure, we got like 30 psi cranking, not running, so that's good. And fired up fuel pumps just 2 minutes ago and checked for leaks, 2 tiny little leaks, one where I shifted the fuel pressure sensor, and one where the fuel pressure sensor was. That's just, I don't have any thread tape, so they had to be done up FT to make sure they didn't leak. You're going to want to hear it. I mean, it wasn't anything spectacular. It didn't roar into life or anything like that. It just started and idled. So let's do that. We've got the laptop sitting here. That won't connect because the fuel pumps are jury-rigged. They go when you turn the ignition on, and they stop when you turn the ignition off. So that's our fuel roaring through the system there. Alright, we're connected. Alternator's not going. Blah blah blah. I hope it actually starts this time. It would be embarrassing, wouldn't it? Smoke, the oil in the engine, rings that need bedding in, etc. Can't run it too long without full internet, we'll cook the boards, so just wanted to make sure it goes, it doesn't have any serious issues. That appears to be the case. Yeah, don't get too excited. She is a long way away from being able to go to the racetrack or get it tuned or anything like that. As I said, this is jury rigged. Literally just got a wire tucked underneath the panel to get power to the fuel pumps, and for now I've just earthed them on the other side of the screws there just to get it running. I have done what I said I was going to do with the relays. I found one of those brackets in my drawer, so that was cool. I actually wanted 2, but I found 1, and so I made the call at that point. Right, okay, so that's rated at 22 amps, that relay there, and we need 20, so okay, you'll be alright. I gave it an independent relay from all the rest of the system, so it's not drawing through a switch unfused or anything like that. It's drawing directly from the battery through a relay into that relay, into the pumps. So that's as quick and brief as it can be. This is all still a giant mess. Lots to do in here. Heaps and heaps. Want to get everything all sorted out before I do the final tidy up of that. I don't want to tidy it up now, get it mint, and then change my mind and do something else. There's a potentiometer on our HGT sequential gearbox. We need a ground, a sensor ground. We need 5 volts, and we need a return into the ECU. So there's 3 wires that have to go from there into there somewhere. That long wire that I was talking about the other day that I threw over there and said we can cut all that off, that's probably going to actually run all the way through to the firewall, and then I'll run it back inside the tunnel rather than having a grommet or a hole through the tunnel here, and just make it all tidier, put everything in the one loom, head it in that direction, split it over there and go through the firewall, come back nice and tidy. Could potentially go that way, might be shorter, we'll have a think about it. Probably will do, now that I say that. Check the engine for oil leaks and everything like that is the next one. It's run for 30 seconds, maybe a bit more. The obligatory fire extinguishers and clear everything else out of the way. So if we have a catastrophe, there's less fuel for the flames. Oh, there's something on the floor down there, isn't there? Doesn't look like oil, so condensation from the exhaust perhaps. Not that it ran that long. Right, we're gonna have a look around. Keep you posted. Shows how much water comes out of E85 when you run it. That's what that is. That lot there, not that lot there. That's this fitting on the brake line is not tight, and I pressed the brake pedal earlier on, checking the brakes, but that there came from there. And as you can see, there's no flange on, no gasket on there, there's no half of the bolts missing, etc. That's just sitting there, and it's actually the same deal. Other side, I've made it too bright for you, haven't I? But other than that, we're looking all right. Pity about those blue fittings on there. Yuck. And these ones are a bit second-hand looking, so yeah, you get that. Everything else is looking all pretty good, given it only ran for a couple of seconds, 30 seconds or whatever. Whole lot more to do. Heaps and heaps and heaps more work. I've actually got to finish the diffuser. I might do that next. It'll be a fun job. Close this whole area off as, you know, do that. This has got to come off and be probably sandblasted and powder coated at this point, I guess. I do want to make a new one out of aluminium. There's a big job doing that, so that won't happen anytime soon. More importantly, we've got to get the two flanges made for here. 1, 2. The shaft that runs from here to here should be okay. I've got to make a mount for this bearing. I've got to make a flange to go onto here to adapt that to that style, or perhaps just get a whole one of these made in that style. It may be. Temperature sensor, where is it? It's a potentiometer here somewhere. Is that it up there? That's a potentiometer. Somebody's hand's in the way there. There's our 3 wires. They've got to be hooked up. We can't have our main battery cable just kicking around like this. That's got to be dealt with. Whole heap of tidying up to go on underneath here. We've got to do better than that with our fuel system, and we've got to put a cover on it or a drive shaft hoop or something under here to protect that. We can't really run that anywhere else. If we run it on the outside of the car, it's far more likely to get damaged out here and smash to bits and cause a problem. And I don't want it inside the car. That's really about the only place we can have it. So it's either that side or that side. That side's closer to the shaft, so it is where it is. These puppies. Oh, didn't hear them whirring away like we do with the Garretts, but the oil was very, very cold. They're spinning freely enough, so that will come later. Okay, more to do. So I know I said I was going to do a bit more, but nah, we're well past, it's just about 5 o'clock now. I think we're well past 4 o'clock anyway. And I've decided that pretty much goal achieved for the day. I actually wasn't intending on going as far as firing it up, but that's that. It goes. So I'm going to go inside and have some chippies or something like that. Someone has asked Mr. Dick Dazzler. That's a name on YouTube. That's an interesting name. He has, I'm sure it's not his real name. Apologies if it is. He has asked a couple of times what my qualifications are, my experience, my background, that sort of thing. How do you know how to fix race cars, basically, or make race cars, or change? How do you know how to build race cars? So this is my 4th attempt at explaining this. I digress a little bit too far, so I'm just going to keep it real quick because I'm getting thirsty. Ex-aircraft engineer, so I've spent 8 to 10, I can't remember off the top of my head, and I'm not going to go ferreting around in my CV to look. 8 to 10 years in that industry, ran through the NZQA system and got my qualifications for airframe overhaul, airframe maintenance, engine overhaul, component overhaul, painting, some other things. I can't remember. There's a little pile of certificates to a suitable level for what I was doing. So I used to organise repairing engine mount frames for Air New Zealand. I used to crack test and repaint wheels. I used to build pieces for aeroplanes that we couldn't buy anymore. I'd just make them. This is, all that sort of stuff, right? And I used to overhaul magnetos, which is the thing that makes the sparks on the motor for the spark plugs. So it's a pretty important thing to get right. So I was doing those. I was doing the generators. I was doing the starter motors. I was doing the alternators. I was doing motors for air conditioning fans and overhauling all that sort of componentry. I was overhauling cylinders. Aircraft engines, typically, most of them, have individual cylinders that you take off, a bit like a motorbike. Some motorbikes, like V-twins and stuff, air-cooled ones, you can take one cylinder off at a time. So we would be doing batches of multiple cylinders per engine. I would have overhauled thousands of them, and that's no exaggeration. There'd be pages and pages on the book in the cylinder bay at Aeromotive out at Hamilton Airport. That was me for a number of years doing that, amongst other things. So, yep, and then I left that industry. I went to the motorcycle industry for a couple of years. I was assembling new bikes and overhauling trade-ins and all that sort of carry-on. Then I went back to the aircraft industry for another couple of years, and I was working at a place called Crew Training Centre, and I was servicing, maintaining, repairing Diamond DA42s and DA20s and stuff. So that was a combination of the old school stuff and also some new school stuff. This is full carbon fibre construction with Kevlar and all that sort of carry on for wings and all that sort of stuff, fuselage, etc. And the engines were, at that point in time, Mercedes-Benz A-class turbo diesel engines modified by a company called T-Lert, and they put a reduction gearbox on the front of them with a clutch. Not kidding, there was a slipper clutch in there, so if there was too much load on the engine, the clutch would slip. It was quite an interesting arrangement. So I was downloading files from the engines and from the ECUs and sending them off to Switzerland, Germany. No, it's not neither of those. I can't remember over to Europe, and doing troubleshooting and all that sort of carry on with that sort of stuff. So a bit of experience there. I left there, went to the automotive industry for a couple of years, did an adult apprenticeship there, got a automotive service technician ticket, qualification, whatever, and left there, started working for myself. Been doing it since. It was just before I got married. It's 15 years I've been working for myself now. So, yep, that's it. Right, I'm going inside. Cheers, bye.